Chat, we go. It's Mawkzy versus Shadi, and I think I need to pull up my old overlay because I want to say Bacchus Mod has been having some issues, right? I don't think it's just that I didn't update it. I want to say I remember seeing on some other streams that Bacchus Mod... Oh, it's because I didn't update it. We will see... Rocket League needs to be closed. Nope, I decline. I decline the request to close Rocket League. We got Mawkzy versus Shadi, and don't worry, old Feer is on his way back right now with his old overlay. So don't you sweat it for a moment. A nice little best of 5 between the Mawkzy and the Shadi. I don't want to spoil it too much. I'm sure Johnny will be announcing it here or uploading it here quite soon. But Mawkzy just played against Shadi against Dr. Known in a series where they started out with a little bit of extra boost. So if you're interested in that and what happens in 1v1s when you have just a little bit more boost on the kickoff, you could go make sure to check out what I'm sure will end up being a YouTube video, or you can go check out his VOD over on Johnny's channel. But I'll try not to mention how that game went. Instead, we're going to watch Mawkzy versus Shadi here, as Mawkzy is trying to prep for RLCS 1v1s. He has got RLCS 1v1s coming up not terribly long from now, as the second EU regional is going to be starting here this weekend. Or I shouldn't even say starting, I should say ending. It's going to be ending this weekend. It started last weekend. And before we know it, it's going to be time for the EU and South Americans to queue up and play a bit of 1v1 in order to try and qualify for the Birmingham Major. And ya boy will be special guest. If by any chance you haven't been able to figure that out or haven't heard that news, I will be special guest for the 1v1 portion on the mainstream, which is very exciting. Now, Shadi is going to have a bit of time before he plays because the Middle East players aren't going to be playing until the second major, which we now know where that is. The Raleigh Major is going to have North America and the Middle East, as Mawkzy has specifically told me he's been working on his aerial game. He's been trying to get his aerial game up after Salt Mine 4. My guess is he went back to the drawing board and said, you know what? My aerial game, not good enough to compete at the highest level. He's had issues getting tournament wins in these big tournaments. Of course, he's still a top player, getting fourth, I believe, tied for third, fourth with, was it Atto? Maybe? As Nas and Rawas made it to that grand final. But clearly, the aerial game seems to be there because he is absolutely on fire. Shadi showing up as, you know, a newcomer in the Saudi scene and putting up good fights against the top players. At the end of the day, Rawas was the one who pulled away in Salt Mine and showed he's probably still the best that the Middle East has to offer in terms of players actually playing tournaments, whereas Nupo's probably the best that the Middle East has to offer, but he refuses to queue up for tournaments. Hopefully he queues up for RLCS 1v1. But as of right now, Mawkzy up 4-0. We'll see if he continues to try and play an aerial focused style, and if we can notice something different about him. He was one of the easier players for people to recognize when we did the Mass Duelist, which was 1v1 players playing completely anonymous. Mawkzy, I think, ripped a Mawkzy flick top left, and everyone was like, oh, okay, we know who that guy is. The only other person who was maybe easier was Dark, who also hit a Pogo in the process of playing, so people knew who he was for sure. We do have a 2v2 tournament watch party coming up after this match. There is a 2v2 tournament hosted by Rocket Baguette. We're going to do a little bit of watch partying of that, so make sure you stick around to enjoy that. It's the RLCS. Yeah, RLCS will be including 1v1. But this match is not an RLCS match. It's just a nice friendly show match for these guys to hone their skills, as Mawkzy just double jumps this around Shadi and then is able to execute on his open net. Dark was so easy. We saw him zap dash 20 times in a row. Yeah, he was a heavy dasher. There still is. Around the time that he played those matches. 6-1 here in game number 1 for the Mach. Fear pushing 50 and saying, yeah boy. I'm not pushing 50. Shadi dodging the bump here before slotting it bottom left. Shadi going to late kickoff. And now falling from the ceiling, using that flip as late as possible. If Mawkzy's going to stay shadowed, no reason to do anything too early. Plus, he wants to get down underneath the ball. Using the reset when you're this high above the ball, all you're really doing is just slightly changing the trajectory, maybe giving it a little bit more speed, and also keeping yourself high up in the air to recover very poorly. Not what you want to do. Mawkzy is taking a sure victory and making it a bit questionable here as he goes for what he thinks is going to be a chip. He thought it was going to be a full delay from Shadi. Shadi delayed his kickoff into single jumping into a wave dash a couple times now. So Mawkzy was thinking, okay, I'm getting another delay here. I'm going to be cheeky against the delay and just chip the ball clean around him. Instead, Shadi actually went and got the ball sent directly into his net. Shadi looking around, recognizing Mawkzy's nowhere to be found, which means the only place he can be is trying to snag a demo. I think he also might have hurt him just a little bit as well, leading to him correctly dodging. Oh my goodness, he just tries to use Mawkzy's move against him, but just went a little bit too high. And now a nice little double against the backboard, get a reset in the process. And Shadi is working his way all the way back. It seemed like he was going to have a tough game number one. I tell you, there are tons of players in the one scene who would have forfeit this game at around 6-1 or whatever it was with multiple minutes left to go. Shadi staying locked in. Believes in himself, and for good reason, as he's now within one. That's a big mistake. Oh no! It's a bigger mistake. Oh, I forgot yes was added as a quick chat. I say no. Mawkzy says yes. Oh, it was so free for Shadi. Mawkzy completely whipped in the air. Shadi just needed to land down and probably take his free nets, like a full-on goal, not just a easy save and possession, but instead it bounces around him. And now Mawkzy up 2. I need to add yes to my quick chats because I've always wanted to say yes. Ever since it had no, people love to ask yes or no questions all the time in chat. And I just want to be able to answer yes. And I never can. I always have to say no. So, like, oftentimes people in ranked, they'll be like, are you that guy who wishes he was Johnny Boy? And it's like, all I could say was no, you know? But now, I have the ability to say yes. Mawkzy getting bumped. But getting his 2-goal lead all the same. You have time. They had a couple ones that are definitely gonna be toxic. The first thing everyone does when a new quick chat comes out is, what's the most toxic one? What's a way that I can use this to get my teammates or my opponents mad? And you have time seems like definitely one that's gonna be used a lot. Nice shot from Mawkzy, showing the fruits of his labor on the aerial game, as this one arcs just underneath the ceiling, and perfect time to get the reset to get it around Shadi. Shadi looking to get one for the road. He will get a demo to be the last one to score, but game number 1's going to go to Mawkzy. Still not a bad performance in the last few minutes. In fact, maybe even like a 6-3 or so run for Shadi. Mawkzy's going to be rotating back. Wow. As we head to game number 2. I think I'm getting, yeah, the post screen bug. So we're going to have to sit here for a minute. So you're saying you as the person who wants to receive the pass would say passing, like telling the other person to pass, and then a beacon shows up in your position? That would be oh my goodness, the toxic nature of that would be so beautiful, man. So many people after every shot passing were then showing themselves glowing up on the map. Game number 2, Mawkzy and Shadi. Mawkzy coming into this matchup as the favorites. But I think the big thing that I'm continuing to try and watch is what has Mawkzy added to his aerial game, considering he himself claims to have been working on it. Let's see, what does he have here on this air dribble? It's going to have to be a 50. He fell a little bit too far to get the full wheel 50. Going to be forced to back off now. I love the Spider-Man look from shadi. Has the reset way far away from the net. And actually pretty darn good cut to catch it and basically try and look for that bottom right. But Mawkzy not getting fooled by the fact that the ball headed, you know, off to the left side. He knows shadi's going to make a goal. He's going to have to get way around it and bring it back. shadi now losing control of the ball. Gave it back to Mawkzy, but quickly regains on a 1-2 in order to put Mawkzy on his back foot. But Mawkzy has 100 boost, no problem. Little dash off the wall and a goal to open game number 2. Mawkzy looking to control this ball back into his own half. After gaining possession on the kickoff shot, he's going to try and pinch this one away. Mawkzy prepared for that. shadi actually is going to get his goal. Mawkzy is really just trying to hold on to boost, and you think play this, you know, as comfortably as he can. He's obviously not panicking too much. He feels like he's going to get a possession set up, but it never happens. shadi, being a pest, gets rewarded. He gets himself a goal. He does not like Mawkzy trying to go back and set up clean possessions, which is probably a good idea. Mawkzy, one of the more dangerous players when he's got time to set it up. This goal going to come in off the kickoff. shadi going to be the last one to touch it, but I'm not sure there's really much he could have done here. Yeah, he probably could have not flipped to the ball, I guess. It might be a little bit of an own goal. It felt like it was going to be a runaway goal for Mawkzy. And while it's always tough to get the perfect read with the slow-mo that happens in the replay, there's a good chance that shadi did not just have to slam that in. shadi now out of his own back corner. Mawkzy wall dashing his way to recover, but it's still not going to be enough. shadi sees the far post as his place to strike, as Mawkzy not rotating back infield at all, staying exclusively on the side wall means he's going to have a tough time getting all the way to that opposite side of the net. And that's exactly where Mr. shadi put it. Mawkzy trying to pre-jump what he thought was going to be an air dribble from shadi. shadi pulled off of it. Nice 50 for him. And now going to get himself a third. Mawkzy trying to play proactively in defense, but after the pre-jump found himself way too deep underneath the play. Did the best he could with that 50, but it's not going to work out. shadi now off the ceiling. Wave dash catch, and he is going to continue to make plays as late as possible as long as Mawkzy shows he wants to shadow. Mawkzy not jumping off the sidewall, not really ever threatening towards the ball, so shadi's going to wait it out and catch it to double jump near post. And credit to shadi, because it's easier said than done in those positions. You'll see lots of players, as they're still trying to advance their game, feel like they're stuck in one thing or the other. And the best players, it's something that I think Nas is just super, super elite at, which has made him so good in ones right now, is just almost coming in with no plan. This is a nasty flick, by the way, from shadi. Top crossbar. Mawkzy ends up tapping it in. But the ability to almost come in with no plan and keep as many options open as possible and react to defenses. Nas on offense just has seemingly the perfect read, like he knows the future on how the defender is going to defend on that possession. Mawkzy, I assume, is going to be taking every chance he can at aerials now, considering this is essentially a perfect time to practice that. No RLCS position on the line right now, as Mawkzy trying to chase down shadi. shadi knew that, and although he went for a soft touch, recognized it was not worth dying for and prioritized evading the bump, and for good reason. Mawkzy, so interesting, approaching that ball side on, allowing shadi to just basically play into the 50 for a perfect pinch into the corner and out to center field. Shadi gonna score the kickoff again. I don't know. Mawkzy did just play a series in which he had extra boost, but something tells me it was not long enough for his muscle memory to change. Certainly struggling a bit on the kickoff here against Shadi in game number 2. Trying to chip this around. A delay, I think, from Shadi, who ended up jumping in order to intercept the chip. A complete reversal of how game number 1 went. And to be fair, the momentum was actually in Shadi's favor. There's the next from Mawkzy, as Shadi gonna win 8-2 in game number 2. So we head to game 3, and I think I'm gonna get the bug again. I feel like audio is weird when I get the post-screen bug. Nope, I got it. I was wrong. Game number 3. Mawkzy and Shadi. Shadi, I would say, has the edge going into this one. He's dropping the nice one. We have yet to see any quick chats, anything crazy from these two. But he's going to give Mawkzy a little bit of sauce. Oh, sorry, I should say spice. I think it's spice is what I'm looking for. A little bit of spice. Mawkzy wants to control this off the back wall. Shadi knows better than to let him do that for free. Even though he's sitting on 100 boost, it's so hard to control it into a meaningful play. And now Mawkzy again finds himself in the same position. Shadi hanging around, looking to try and prevent what has ultimately happened anyways, which is Mawkzy getting the ball with more than enough boost to make a play. And it seemed like Mawkzy was planning on an aerial attack. And this is a big switch up, I think, from what we normally see from Mawkzy. That position right there is just always a top left flick, or, you know, a flick of some kind. He has the carry, defender rotating back. He's just so dirty with those, but this time forcing the aerial a little bit. And although it was awkward, it does work out. He's going to throw back a little bit of toxicity with the rotating back, testing out all these new quick chats that were added in this week's update. Shadi snipes the demo, does not get the boost, and I think ran out of ideas once he got to the ball. I recognized Mawkzy's spawn was pretty good and that there was no real way to get around it because Shadi ultimately had 0. So he knows any sort of shot. I love the new quick chats. Mawkzy just says yes. Whoops from Shadi. No, Shadi, you got to bind the new ones. I want to see both players workshopping the new phrases. Although what happens sometimes, because Mawkzy is, of course, if you didn't know, I know we don't have the flags today. Mawkzy, a French player. Shadi, a Saudi Arabian player. So I know Mawkzy's overlay probably showing up in French. I think when I watch the MENA players, it actually does show up in English. So he might still have all the English quick chats. But I know sometimes the phrasing of different quick chats can mean slightly different things, because there's something that Mawkzy would always say, and then chat had to be like, no, we've got to understand in French, it kind of means something slightly different. So I wonder, in all the different languages, all the new quick chats, what kind of salt is going to be able to get farmed. Mawkzy tapping this over the top of Shadi, but getting sent back into his own half. Shadi to the skies. Mawkzy swinging wide to the net. And this is actually the opposite of what Shadi, I felt like, was doing so well. Mawkzy's going to drop him the great pass. When Mawkzy was being really passive like this, Shadi was doing a great job of never shooting in the air, of, you know, getting a reset or taking to the ground for a catch, making the outplay on the ground or near the ground around Mawkzy. This time, he goes for the weak reset in the air. And that's basically the exact situation I was describing when I was talking about, you know, maybe players who are not quite at the highest level, still trying to work in their aerial game. They do that a lot. You know, they get stuck in the idea that, my plan was to hit this reset shot and I'm going to do it no matter what, even though the end of this play suggests it probably isn't worthwhile. Shadi losing this dribble slightly. Very rarely do you see players intentionally dropping the ball down to the ground. Nice read from Mawkzy. He's going to drop an instant wow as he saw this challenge coming. Shadi trying to backflip to steal it away. Mawkzy pops it around him and has a 4-1 lead. Which player do you think plays best when tilted? That's kind of tough because I think the real question you're asking is probably what player doesn't get tilted? Because tilted almost by definition means you're just playing worse. But an interesting question would be who seems to never get tilted? And once upon a time, my answer for that was Rawas. A couple people instantly said Rawas. I feel like I've almost noticed some slight tilt from him recently. Once upon a time, though, he just seemed to never tilt. I mean, I talked about back when he was playing, when he was 14 years old, in Next Gen before he was allowed to play in RLCS. I mean, there are some tournaments where he was like slamming own goals in crucial situations. Definitely like stuff that you would tilt at, especially the young players who seem to tilt so much more, and Rawas never ever did. I feel like watching a couple of his matches recently, I feel like I've seen a little bit of tilt here and there. But and I don't know if mob is the right answer. I think mob gets a bit tilty. But a lot of the younger players, that's like a big issue that they kind of work through over time, fighting against tilt. And the reason why I've always answered Rawas is my Mawkzy spamming, rotating back to let him know he's going back to his corner with the ball. The reason why I always answer Rawas is because it was so unique to not be tilting as a young up-and-comer. (5-2) for Mawkzy. If we're talking about players not tilting, you gotta give Shadi credit in the current match. Game number 1 against Mawkzy, down 6-1. Every reason to tilt in the world. He actually brought it back to a very decent fight, and I think doing so probably helped him in the next game that he dominated in. And now Mawkzy is certainly trying to tilt him again. So let's watch Shadi here in this next game and decide just how well he plays through tilt. I think playing against Mawkzy is a great test for every pro out there on how they might play when they get tilted, because I think Mawkzy is probably one of the bigger salt farmers in the ones game. He's going to win this one 7-2 at the least. Bilex 13 is the chillest, do you think? Yeah, you're probably right. You know who's the chillest player when they should be getting tilted? Is the bots I keep playing against in ones. I played against another one last night. And this one was interesting because it was a Dominus. And I didn't think they trained the bots on the Dominus. But the biggest thing to tell that they're for sure a bot is when they, right before they catch the ball for their flicks. First off, they're always really good at catching flicks. But in order to catch it, their ball just like, or their card just like shakes violently in a way that no human can shake that fast, and then perfectly catches the ball. So I went back and wait. To be clear, I won. I won the game. You guys are saying I'm coping or raging. I won. I've won both the games against the bots. I'm not saying that they're too good. And that's actually what's interesting to me is they're also not that good. So I don't get it. Because people were like saying, oh, it's Nexto. I'm like, no, Nexto is really good. Nexto never messes up. Nexto just destroys you. So it's some weird mix between like bot and not bot. It did the delay kickoff thing though. So the thing about this 1v1 is that they always delay the kickoff super hard. So you can just tap it around them and get like 5 free goals. So it's hard to lose against this specific bot. I literally won the game, so I don't know why you need this cope emote, but sure. Game number 4. The one game Shadi won. He incited a forfeit from Mawkzy. But he had a tough game. Number 3. Mawkzy is so physical. We were talking about tilting. Hey, Mawkzy actually apologized and then dropped a triple ha. I'm not sure he means it, But on 0 boost, he was a bit of a pest here before eventually getting his goal. Coming off of the last game. This is it right now. Will we see shadi tilt? May never be a tougher time to prevent it than the current moments. Mawkzy instantly dropping the wow after shadi misses the challenge around his net. Yes, wow. Oh. Is there some backstory? I think the backstory might be in ranked. I think the backstory might be in ranked between these two. I did talk to these guys about setting it up. And, you know, slight leak. I think shadi was kind of like, oh, I don't know. Mawkzy can be toxic. I think I'll still play it. And it looks like we might be seeing a little bit of said predicted toxicity. But I definitely need to equip Yes. I meant to equip it last night. Yes is just so useful. Whether it's for toxic memes or just answering questions. I always went with no problem for Yes. And I was like, I don't know if it says the word no. But certainly it gives the spirit of Yes. Mawkzy now at 4-0. He seems to have successfully taken over this game. Respond to yes to people who say my fault or my bad. Oh, Mawkzy's dropping the what a saves now to shadi's wows. Shadi did not get the demo. I think that's where that comes from. Shadi being appalled that he didn't get it. What ping is shadi rocking? 96 for him. 20 for Mawkzy. Always worth a reminder that the Saudi Arabian player is playing on near 100 ping. Shadi trying to delay the kickoff again. Doesn't work out well for him. Mawkzy, what does he have for us in the air? Strong first touch. Pre-flip out to the ball. And did he get multiple resets or did he just kind of lag on this ball? I have to watch it again. I think he just kind of like lagged slightly on it. Maybe it's my connection. I don't know. It seemed like he almost got two different ones. But either way, 7-0. Mawkzy dominating right now. I feel like having Mawkzy be the representative for EU in RLCS 1v1 is something I would definitely not mind. I think as it stands right now, you know, we'd probably have to expect Nas. Nothing wrong with that. I think Nas will be making the major anyways. But I feel like it could be fun to basically have a player who would not be there otherwise to show off the 1v1 game mode. So I certainly would not mind a little Mawkzy victory over in EU. Nice save from shadi, somehow managing to send a goal line 50 straight up in the air. And the fact that he hasn't, you know, given up on this game yet, forfeit, could be an argument towards not tilting, but obviously he's had a very rough go of it. Shadi almost getting scored on here after going in too deep, not picking up this boost. 14 to work with, and I think there's the tilt. There it is. I think he is done. He left the party, left the match. I don't know if he just pulled, if he like alt F forward. I feel like this is an alt F4 based on the boost miss. It's not how you normally see forfeits. We're at 8-0, 234. I'll see if shadi said he DC'd or something. I don't think he DC'd either. I just want him to confirm that he has forfeit the game. Mawkzy's going to continue to put in goals and leave. Okay, I think it's over. Mawkzy's back to spectate. He's dropping a thank you. All right, I didn't hear any response from shadi, but I think we're going to call it a 3-1 for Mox. Pogo? Certainly he's got a Pogo for us. He's been working on his aerial game, he says. Although I don't know if Pogos count. Bad. Want another try? Sure. Yeah, he wants another try. Here we go. He didn't like it. Oh, wait, I did a plan B. I count I count both, to be honest. Well, I shouldn't type during the middle of his, Uh-oh. Oh, sheesh. Count it. What a recovery. What a recovery. Look at this. This is game ready. Super viable. Pre-flip underneath the ball. Pogino. Oh my goodness. GG's. Mawkzy gonna take the dub. 3-1 for the Mach against Shadi.